This is part 2 with Sara Minkara and Ahsen UP. This is the continuation of our amazing conversation on various crucial and relevant topics last week on part 1 of my episode 121. Sara says that the greatest disability for people with disabilities is society's perception. I agree with that. What do you think? You can find her empowering, inclusive, and insightful work on saraminkara.com. And then please do share your comments about this episode or any other episode. And visit my website lightofvishwa.com to learn about my work and how it is relevant to you. So I hope you will enjoy this episode. Thank you. But I want you to elaborate a little more on it and talk about it, Sara, about your family, that how it has contributed to who you are today, and what are they still doing for you?
Yeah, so my family is definitely a variable why I'm here and what I've done so far, and it's multiple things. It's one of them is they approached every single uh, test that was given to them from the lens that there's khair, it's a blessing behind it. And I think it's like, that anything from Allah's, there's a blessing behind it, and I think that kind of getting that focus of our household was really important. And it really shifts things into a different perspective, to be honest, right? It's like, oh, why did this happen to me, versus, okay, let me see where the khair is behind it, where the goodness behind it is, right? um I do remember really clearly the day that I lost my eyesight. I was 7 years old. It was on my birthday, to be exact. And I remember waking up that day, and um, we were in the summer house that all overlooked these big, beautiful mountains. And I woke up that morning, I could no longer see the mountains, and calling out for my mom, and my mom coming and realizing that her second daughter has also become blind. So my sister is also visually impaired. So, and I will say, if it wasn't for my mom, I wouldn't be here, to be honest. She really pushed us to have dreams and ambitions. She did so much to make sure we continue going to the public school systems, take the classes we wanted. She saw that I was really good in the math and sciences, so she really made sure that I was in the advanced classes. And she really always said to me, what are your dreams? What are your ambitions? And she pushed us to pursue them. And I think that she did not allow society's narrative, which around disability, which is, oh, we don't expect anything from you, to ever enter the house. Instead, she's like, I expect you to actually do really well. Actually, the family was like, oh, I expect you to have a PhD, kind of thing, So like, it was a very
Wow,
different
very
narrative.
nice.
And she never allowed us to say the words, I can't do this because I cannot see. So we can never ever say those words. So we were never able to really pity ourselves, right? And it turns out my sister now is a professor at Northeastern University in the bioengineering department.
Wow.
I'm an
Mashallah.
entrepreneur, and alhamdulillah, my brother's also very successful. He's not blind, but he's also very successful in his own way.
Mashallah.
So she really pushed us to really pursue our
Excellent.
dreams.
So, big part of your
Yes,
family. And
definitely.
so, are your siblings support each other as well? Are they?
Oh, definitely. We're
Okay.
like, my siblings are my they're my life, they're my support system, and we're very productive and supportive of one another in different
Excellent.
ways. We're very different personalities, but yeah, we're very
Excellent.
supportive.
Ahsen, is your
Yeah, I mean,
family contributing in any ways?
yes, I mean, so I am the fifth child of a divorced, couple.
Okay.
So, and my mom herself being always wanting to, pursue higher education herself, but never ended up pursuing it because 5 kids.
Yeah.
Um, and so I have 3 brothers and an older sister. I'm the youngest of 5. She always, wanted us to pursue our, educational goals and professional goals. And she never wanted us to fall back from those dreams because the society assigned certain roles to women that would limit them to
Yes.
only, not that there's anything wrong with having a family, with having a kid, and if anything,
exactly.
but she didn't want that only to limit what we could do in life. So, and even to the point at where I was like, I remember I was so overwhelmed at some point when close to, finishing my master's. And I was like, I don't want to do a PhD. I'm so done. And, there's always that one point where
Yes.
you're just like, I'm done.
Mhm.
And she was like, no, you're going to do your PhD. You're going to become a doctor and you're going to like be the expert in your field. And she always, being this, strong, independent woman, she was basically the role model.
So none of the parents told you which degree to do and what to do, but they gave you
No.
the freedom to do whatever, but do it. Better
Yeah.
go ahead and do whatever you can and want. Okay, sorry,
Yeah,
And
I
that's the power, to be honest. Like,
yes, yeah,
because when you end up doing what you're really loving or you're good at, you will thrive in it.
exactly.
I'll tell you one thing. My
Yeah.
parents, my mom until now, she's like, Sarah, no PhD, because my sister's a PhD. I'm like, is this not enough?
Yeah, no, that's an issue with the Muslim Asian parents and Arab parents. It's never enough. Could you have A plus, and can you
I
have
know exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I went to Harvard. It's not enough.
oh yeah, PhD, and then it's like you can do another one.
Exactly.
Yeah, my mom every week we call, on the phone. She's like, "Isn't it over yet?" Like, mom, it's
Mom,
not
you
a
started
paper.
it,
It's
right?
like a whole dissertation. Didn't
So
you finish
funny.
it yet? Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. That's wonderful. Wonderful. That means the family has a big part to play.
Mhm.
If they are supportive, and especially mother and father and
Yeah.
whoever can, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. Let's see where we are. Okay. Um, let's get to. I know none of you are parents yourself, but you are coming from parents. You were born into a household which had two parents. You can, whoever wants to begin, can you tell me what have you, what suggestion at least, or what lesson you think that parents can learn from what you went through, and something that you would suggest that that parents shouldn't do?
Mm. Um, so a couple things, and this also connects with my experience in ETI, because we actually, one of the things is we focus on parents and families. We actually have program specifically for parents and families, because parents slash families, whether you're in a mother father household, whether in your grandparents, whatever the household, like
Right.
the family is the first society that you're brought into. That whatever that narrative is in that family is what really impacts you forever. And we've seen actually a lot of families, when they have a blind kid, for instance, they don't want, in Lebanon for instance, they don't want their kids to use a white cane, because they don't want their kid to be labeled and stigmatized, and so there's a lot of that aspect, right? So then um they discourage their kid from using a white cane. We had so many experiences like that, or the parents are not accepting their kids' blindness, or the parents are just very much, have a certain one track, this is what's successful for the kid or not, right? And for me, this is my advice for parents, and this is, if I ever have kids, is, you know first of all, don't let society's narratives and and isms impact your household. Look at your kid for who they are. Look at them with the fact that, for me, Allah created them. There's beauty in their creation. They have some value and some beauty to bring forward to this world. And try to see every single kid of yours from an individual lens, and try to really have them embrace who they are and embrace the talent that Allah has given them, because every single person has something beautiful inside of them. And I truly believe that.
Yep.
And when I parent, and it's not easy. I mean, parents, of course, they're dealing with a society at large, right? They're dealing with all these narratives. They're probably ingrained in them, right? It's hard, but you really need to kind of look within and look at your kid individually. Um, I'll tell you one side note. If a kid is also born blind, um, automatically that kid starts building echolocation skills, which is, how a bat, they have echolocation. Um, you use your, like, different, your tongue, your vibration, and that allows the kid to actually navigate his surrounding independently. It's so beautiful. But then they make weird, I'm saying, I'm putting quotes weird. I don't think it's weird. Again, the society says it's weird.
Right, right.
But different movements, different things are not the norm. So then parents don't know what their kids are doing. So they actually remove that behavior. Like, no, 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 act normally. Don't do this. And they're removing that kid's potential of actually being able to navigate independently. You see people that use echolocation, being able to walk independently without any cane, be able to bike independently. It's really powerful, subhanallah.
Wow.
And that's because why? Society says that's how you should act. This is the norm. Anything outside of that is abnormal. It's weird. And parents don't know any better. And there we go. So
That's it.
again, try to look at your kid from what's within individually. Yeah.
Yes, Ahsen.
Yeah, I mean, as a to build out on that, off on that, I mean, obviously I don't have kids, and I don't know how that would work if I ever have kids, but I think it's important for parents to be able to see their kids as just, human beings, but they're just smaller, little human beings, but they're still human beings with certain thoughts, with a thought process, with emotions, and they also process things, and usually in a very different way than adults, right? So I think it's important for sometimes, as Sara said, parents might get too much distracted by the society perceptions, and sometimes it could be it can take other forms like discipline or like certain you'll do this, you'll do that, and
Too much
but beyond
authoritarian, too
too
much
much, yeah, it's like
monitoring.
somewhere in
Yeah.
between. It's important because we've been talking about bringing your authentic self, about compassion, how to look at each other through the lens of compassion and everything. But can you actually, while you're learning to do that to everyone else in the society, can you actually do that to that little human being?
Yes, yes.
Right? Can you actually respond to their and I'm not talking about like spoiling the kid,
Yes,
but
yes.
they do have certain feelings, and can you actually respond to their feelings? Can you actually respond to their needs at the moment?
Right.
And respond the way as if you're actually responding to the feelings and needs of an adult that might be needing to have that conversation with you.
Sure.
So I think it's important to realize that, actually, maybe I should sometimes not sometimes, it always
attentive, basically attentive, listening.
Yeah, let the kid have bring their feel comfortable to bring their authentic self while their parents are around.
Sure. Well, I'll talk about the authentic self beyond this when I will do summary of our our conversation, and that's where I will spend some time that what is authentic self, because we are too distracted nowadays, parents, and they're too much, they want to have children but really don't want to be there for them all the time, because you really need to put effort in children. So if Ahsen, your mother was there for 5 kids, she did it right, because she couldn't have a PhD and masters because someone had to be there with the children. And I think what I have found with you both, I think you look pretty nice, empathetic, kind human beings. So I would say that it does affect, parenting does affect. But anyways, I want to go to last leg of questions. Before I do that, I want you to tell me from your experiences, what do you think conscious living is? Because that's what my podcast is.
I think conscious living is living a life with intentionality, being aware, being more aware of our behaviors, our actions, our approach, and and bringing more kind of it goes back to this whole what we've been saying. Let's create pause to let's create pause and understand, why do we behave, why do we see, how do we make sure that we understand ourselves more. And the more we understand ourselves more, then we understand our behavior more and actions more, and then the more we do that, then the more that we'll be able to be more intentional and adjust our approach to certain things. And if we live our life completely like that, and I think part of it is, sometimes we don't understand ourselves. We don't even take the time to stop and understand ourselves. And why do we react? Why is this, why do we, get upset with this, or why do we see something like this, whatever it is. And I think the more that we understand ourselves, the more we're able to tap into our authentic self more, the more then we are able to really adjust our behavior to something that we would want to approach, and it becomes a positive cycle of intentionality.
Can you give me an example? How would you do that? How can you be your more, you know, pay attention to that?
um
How do you
uh,
do it? Maybe
so I
that's
mean,
how.
so it's a good question, and this is something like, I think there's a couple of things. And I don't, I mean, like anyone else as a human, I don't do this all the time. I mean, I sometimes I need, I need a lot of work to do it more and more. But you know, there's a few different ways I do that. First, the salah, the 5 prayers a day, I think helps you take a pause from things and take a step back. And that allows you to kind of recenter things in general. But in terms of, for me, I'm trying to understand it myself a bit more. Let's say one time I actually had a technical challenge. I had a speaking engagement. It wasn't working. The link, it was not accessible. My screener software wasn't working. I started panicking. Um, and it's something very simple, to be honest, and something I don't panic with big things. I panic with small things, and there was a cycle of many different emotions. Ultimately, I'm good at just being good at like suppressing my emotions, and I just went on to speak. I was able to have someone help me, went on to the speaking thing, did it, and then but then I actually took some time afterwards to understand, why did this upset me? Why was this so upsetting to me? And what's the reason behind it? And what is that? Why was it causing this aspect? And it was a cycle of, okay, it's upsetting because, to be honest, like, accessibility should be given, but a lot a lot of times the system doesn't think about it, and it takes like, and then what if, there's a cycle of different questions. But then it allowed me to really understand where I was coming from, and that allowed me to really be able to then be more intentional with future things. And I actually then, from there, I actually had a certain conversation with my staff and with the speaking client, and saying, look, at this is what needs to happen in the future. It Or I could have, to be honest, suppressed my emotion, did it, and just moved on, and I wouldn't have addressed it from. So that's a very simple question, right? Or it could be another thing where I meet someone, this person ticks me off, like I get frustrated with like something is, and I dig deep. Why is this bothering me? What's the reason behind it? And ask myself. And it goes back to this whole curiosity with the lens of compassion.
Excellent.
And that really allows you to it just shifts your perspective. Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you, Sarah. Yes, Essen, how do you live
I think
consciously?
we're spending too much time with Sara together. I was gonna give a very similar answer, but
Oh, okay.
I'd
Okay.
say
No,
I'd
you
say
don't have to answer,
intentionality.
but I'm sure you have some different example. Maybe you
Yeah,
can give
yeah.
an example.
I have a different
Why don't you
example.
give an
So,
example? Yeah.
intentionality, in the sense that being able to be present in the moment and being aware of yourself and your surroundings. And this actually sounds like a very simple task, but it's not.
At
I
all.
mean, it's not
Yes.
at all, because we're usually thinking about the past. We're usually worrying
Future.
about future. We're usually distracted, phone messages,
Yep.
something, social media. Oh my gosh, someone texted me, everything.
Yep.
And we're missing out a lot from the moment.
Yes.
One thing I mean, this might sound a little bit heretical, but so I do martial arts, and I
Me
practice
too.
martial. Yes, wonderful. So one time, and the anyone who practices
Excellent.
martial arts knows that there's a lot of rules from the moment you enter the school. You bow in, and there's a lot of process and everything. So one time, this was like years ago. One time, our instructor was basically explaining to the students why you bow in as you come in, and why you do, and everybody else bows to each other and everything, and why there are certain rules. And at some point, he said that normally, in the traditional sense, that one thing we don't do, but in the traditional sense, people used to enter the school with their right foot. Why? Because you're actually paying attention to what you're doing. And that was an aha moment for me,
Uh-huh.
because I mean, I grew up in in a Muslim household in Turkey, very traditional. And you always have this, eat with your right hand, step
Right,
your
exactly.
right foot and everything. And that I never thought about it before. It's just, oh, you just eat, do everything with your right hand, whatever. I never like paid extra, attention to why we were doing it. And that was an aha moment. I was like, oh, okay. Like the whole, there's this idea of being in the moment, paying attention to what you're doing right now.
So, yeah, exactly. I would like to add there, sorry, because our tradition, being a Muslim, that's where it is. It pays attention to a lot of this being in present moment and
Exactly.
being and I'm glad that I think we three of us are at the moment are present and in this present moment, and we are paying attention and we are not distracted so far for now.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that there's so many things that you're missing. It's not only you're missing at a lot of things emotionally and mentally, but it can cause a lot of things. Like it can cause a lot of things like you're maybe not listening to the person who's talking to you properly. You're maybe missing out or like forgetting about something very important, critical to that moment.
Yep.
Or you're giving too much, you're putting too much emotional investment in, or a mental investment on things that you cannot control or things that you cannot change, like the past or the future, but instead of like missing out the joy of the moment. So there are a lot of things that is entailed with that. So that was one example that I can never forget. A very random moment for me, for a lot of people, but that it was like an aha moment for me of why we should be actually present in the moment.
Wonderful. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, let's come to the last leg of questions. All right. Are you both ready? All right. So, what is wealth in your experience?
I think wealth comes in different ways. Wealth is not just monetary. I think wealth of living your life, wealth living your dreams and ambitions, wealth of family and friendships, relationships, wealth of opportunities, wealth of experiences. Wealth can come in different ways. And for me, more specifically, like I'm living a wealthy life if I'm able to live my purpose and live my life, my dreams fully.
Thank you. Do you want to say anything more? Sorry.
Oh, no, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm
okay,
done.
good. Yes, Ahsen.
I agree. I second all of those. And to add is, I think a wealthy life is a life where you have, built a lot of memories and have gone through a lot of different experiences. I mean, unfortunately, in the past, we had like, some very dear, like family friends and family members passing away in the past few years. And one thing I realized that, and these were like very dear people. And one thing I realized that everybody would just like, oh, this, she was such a good person. And, I remember doing this with her. And to be honest, I mean, life is, dunya is like all temporary and nothing like is going to be there forever. And the only thing that you leave behind is basically, unless you build a mosque or something, it's basically just the memories that you have with other people.
Yeah,
that's true.
And the idea that the good feeling that you have left in other people's hearts. So for me, wealth is basically, if are people able to remember you in a good way, or are they cursing after you? To be honest, because there are cases. Let's face it.
That's true.
There are people who like.
Oh yeah,
of course.
Unfortunately,
Especially
and that's
politicians.
a very sad story. Yeah, that's a very sad story. And I actually, and also like looking back at my younger years or the things that I have done with with my friends or family in the past, and I can't do because I'm too busy now. I always, the way I feel is like I'm so glad that I went to that trip with my friends because it's never going to happen again. And we had those shared moments. That was a very special moment in my
Never say never.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, a wealthy life is, never basically, always build the memories, always have, expose yourself to different experiences.
Agree. That's wonderful. Thank you. What is the value of gratitude in your life? So let's go with Ahsen first now.
And again, I mean, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but it
Okay.
seems like feeling the gratitude feels like an easy task, but actually it's not.
Uh-huh.
At least in my personal experience, I actually had to. It's a skill that you have to practice on a daily basis, because we are usually so I was listening to, I forgot her name, but I really, one time I was listening to a lecture, and she was saying that when we are asking things from Allah, we're usually very arrogant. We ask for something and we treat it like Amazon Prime. Why didn't it happen the next day?
Yes.
Right? As if it has to happen, as if like Allah is like owes us
Yeah.
something. But no, I mean, regardless, whatever we want in this life happens or not, or is delayed, it is the skill to be happy or content with whatever we have in our hand. And that's a very difficult skill to practice, to
And
be
you're not
honest.
repeating, by the way. Every time you have something
Okay,
new to say, all right? So
that's
don't
good.
underestimate yourself. And if you do say something, I will make sure that you have something else to give
Okay,
us.
great.
Yes, Sarah.
Yeah, I like what Aslan said, like being content with what you
Yes.
have is being, and that's especially having gratitude towards Allah.
Mhm.
And then in general, gratitude towards people, I think, that lens of seeing the value that they've brought to your life
Yeah.
and being grateful towards that. And I think when you approach every single person with that value-based perspective, that this person has brought value, and also seeing them through that human lens, I think that allows you to be more grateful for who they are.
Yes, yes.
Exactly.
Can I ask you, I know this is when you woke up today, is there something that you came to your mind that you can share, both of you? Other than like how I'm going to do this.
Like for the podcast or for the day?
No, for the day, whatever, anything. Whether it was for
Uh,
podcast, that's also good. If there was something or
well, to be
whatever.
honest,
Yeah.
so Hassan's an early bird. I'm not, and I had to be awake for starting at 6:30, and I was like waking up. I was like, oh, I wish I can sleep more. So literally, that was
That's
my
good.
thought
That's
process.
good. That's fine. It adds to our conversation. And Asan, can you share
Yeah,
something?
yeah. I've been. I mean, it's gonna sound a little bit cheesy, but I've been trying to practice this recently for the past few months. Actually, waking up with certain, like, as soon as I wake up, uh, you know, having coming up with some prayers and affirmations,
Mm.
and preparing myself mentally and emotionally that it is going
For
to
the
be
day.
a good
Good
day.
day. Yes.
Uh, and it
Good.
works. I mean,
Yes.
so far, I mean, it's basically you set the mindset from the very beginning.
Exactly.
And even though things happen, right? Things
Of
happen.
course. Of course.
But I think it's like how you set your mindset from the very beginning and how you actually perceive that.
Mhm.
I think that makes a lot of difference.
Yeah. So
See,
through
Hassan's
you.
living conscious living.
Yeah, seems like I need to get her on my board also.
I
Right,
think
Sarah?
I think so. I think so.
Right? I think so. I will be like, this is my face of conscious living. Here it is.
Exactly.
Essen. All right. All right. Do you believe in afterlife, Sarah?
Oh yes, definitely.
Okay. Okay. Essen?
Yes.
Okay. Alhamdulillah. I know this is short, but I always ask.
Yeah.
So, yeah. What is the purpose of your life? Whoever wants to go first.
Um, I think for me, and I'm actually so this is it's so funny you asked the question because that was actually the conversation I had with my ghostwriter recently for the book I'm writing, and
Oh.
um, I think my purpose is, I've been given an opportunity to be seen and to be seen through value and to be empowered, and and I've realized that I've pursued a path in life, whether ETI, whether now or in the future, is it's always going to be revolving around um, allowing people, creating a space for people to tap into their true potential and their true value and bringing that beauty out into the world. And I've seen so many kids across the globe being marginalized and stigmatized, and they're not able to really, even though they have so much to bring to this world. And I think I just want to be able to. That's my work. That's my purpose. Is how do you really see the beauty in every human being?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, very similar to Sarah's.
Wow, no wonder you guys are on the same page. Okay, now I get it. Okay, I get it. I get it.
I always felt that, especially if you are given with a lot of blessings in life, I felt like I had the task to give back by changing something, because there's a lot of needs that need, things that need to be changed. And when I was like 15 years old, I was naive enough that I could make change on a macro level. I can stop this war kind of like change.
Mm-hmm.
But no, at this point, I feel like even, creating some change in the mindset of one person is a massive task. It makes, because once you change someone's way of thinking, once you change someone's the way they see themselves, the way they see the society, that is going to have actual tangible consequences, in a chain. So I think that's, if I can do that, I would feel that I have achieved something in life.
I think you both are doing great work, wonderful work. So I'm sure you will. You are doing, actually, and you will continue. So, okay. So, any message of hope before you go?
Try to embrace all of who you are and see the beauty within, and that's gonna allow you to bring so much value in this world.
Mm-hmm. Stay curious, keep exploring, and it's okay to make mistakes.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, my last question is, what lights you up, Sara and Ahsen? What lights you up?
Kids' laughter. When you feel a kid feels free and is able to be more of him or herself. Nature, and being close to Allah.
Also nature, especially water, as a water sign. Yeah. And I think the freedom. Freedom is a big blessing. So freedom of the being able to feel free, without any pressures, without any oppression. I think that's that's something that really, as if I can feel that freedom, that really lights me up on a daily basis. And there are a lot of small things in life that you can extend that list. A good coffee, things like
of course,
hanging out with people that you love and everything. But
that's very good. That's very good. I really appreciate both of you. And if you have anything else to say before we end our conversation, I don't want to end our conversation, but we have to. Anything else you want to say before you go, I would really appreciate. And then we can end our conversation today.
No, I just want to say thank you so much for having us. It was a beautiful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you, Sara. Thank you, Ahsen, for being here and honoring my podcast, my show. It has really, you have expanded my the value of my show. Actually, these are the conversations that really I cherish and I value. And thank you for your time. And I wish you all the best with all what you both are doing. And I will be in touch. And
Definitely.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.